I was born in the 70s, so the 80s were my decade of adolescence, and of course everyone from Prince, Michael Jackson, Boy George Michael, and then numerous others that were huge musical influences. Eric B. and Rakim, LL Cool J, Slick Rick, like Salt and Peppa, MC Light, like, and then I was listening to all the hip hop music. I was listening to all the alternative, or Sinead O'Connor, and then the House Martins and the Smiths, and I have a brother who's 4 years older than I am, so when he was 8 years old and I was 4 years old, it was like I was 8 years old. So when he was 16 and I was 12, like it was like I was a 16-year-old. So I got to live through him, as well as like my own personal taste. So it was I had a lot of idols, music-wise, and then I also just of course, my mom bought subscriptions to Italian Vogue and
crazy
WWD. W used to be W magazine used to be like a newspaper, like a glossy paper newspaper. So it looked more like a rag that you would get for the fashion industry.
Crazy.
And it was actually W was owned by WWD as well. It was all part of Fairchild Publications.
Right.
But then it got split up, and W then later got bought by Condé Nast or something like that. But it's but at the time when I remember as a kid looking at W magazine and this big newspaper, and of course Halston and Calvin Klein, and then lots of different models like Pat Cleveland, and then Ezadine Alaya, Yohji Yamamoto. I mean, there's people that made a big impact on me early on that I knew then for the rest of my life. So a lot of personal heroes and a lot of idols that I had that were in music and fashion and entertainment, and I just really had an appetite for knowing about anything that was happening that was cool, and I loved movies, and I liked actors too, but for the most part I always just had a deeper thing with fashion and music, so it just
dope.
meant more to me, Still to this day, if someone said would you like to watch a movie, or would you like to just sit here and listen to an album from start to finish? I'd probably pick listening to an album from start to finish, rather than watching a movie, even though I'm visual, but I just like to close my eyes and imagine my own visuals rather than a movie that's dictated to me in a certain way. But I'm a big fan of certain films too, but I would just say that what music does to me is a whole nother thing, and it actually makes me feel more inspired, I think.
Completely. I agree with you, man. I'm the same way.
Even though movies involve music too, what I mean, or whatever, but it's they're already dictating this visual image, whereas even reading books, I'd rather read a book, to make my own pictures in my head, or and so but music, if it's an amazing album and you can just listen to it start to finish, there's something really special about that. That's why I'm also glad that people are still, again, there's a resurgence of vinyl records and people buying record players, and they just can put on a record and have that experience, because it's there's nothing like it really, and even the sound quality from an analog needle on a record, you get more from that music than you do from an MP3 or something you buy online. It's just a different quality. Even if it sounds like the same song, it's a different quality
Right.
of it, you know, and
It is.
you know, a lot of people can't tell the difference. That's why, you know, iTunes and MP3s are so popular. But there's definitely a warm, more soulful type of auditory experience that you have from listening to music on vinyl or on a proper sound system with a proper like CD or vinyl record.
Right. I love that one, dude.
So I moved to Los Angeles in 1992, and I was 17 at the time. And so one of the first things I needed to do was get a fake ID so I could go to all the hot happening clubs. Not so I could drink alcohol, but just so I could be in the spots that were the most happening. And the Roxbury on Sunset was one of those places that I went to in 1992 at 17 with a fake ID, and I showed up with these two girls that I went to design school with, and they were like super beautiful. So we were able to cut the line, and at the time, you know, I was just coming from Missouri, and I had on this whole kit that was all like cross colors, and you know, which was cool. But then I stepped into this world of like Hollywood, and, you know, rock and roll, and what you know, what the Roxbury was at that time. The dress code was basically like a lot of chrome hearts jewelry and Versace silk print, like scarf print shirts, and leather chrome hearts pants, and you know, lots of rock stars were there, and so we got in. I got in with my fake ID, but I quickly like realized what the new dress code was that, you know, in LA, and so you know, although I didn't immediately go and buy a bunch of Versace shirts, but I just definitely like started to dress differently, or just like my style evolved. It went from like kind of like, you know, what happens like when you're a young guy and then you get turned on to some new clothes, and then you're like, oh no, this isn't it, that's it, and then like you just kind of, you know, rework your personal style in a new way or whatever. You just keep evolving and changing. So that was like a big deal, and I remember dancing all night. I remember like I remember watching Scott Baio get the shit slapped out of him by some girl that, you know, he was hitting on. I remember Prince being there. I remember the Sultan of Brunei being there. I remember like there was like, you could enter through the bottom, which was like a restaurant and like a rock and roll club, and then you go upstairs, and that was when like there was like a disco like dance club, and then there was another little side room that was like a VIP club that not everyone could get into that, but in that VIP club was like where, like, you know, a lot of people were. Johnny Depp, Kate Moss, like what, you know,
so sick.
You know, whoever, you know, was there. Everyone was there. Like, and it was like pretty mind blowing, like at the time, to like kind of step into that at 17 and like see that. But you know, there's still, you know, talking about the past, you know, like there's still scenes like this. They're just different, but it's cool like how the Roxbury became such a known thing, and it was one of the first clubs in America that was known for like a big long line, and that, like, no matter how much money you had, you're not getting in if you didn't have like a good style. Like you could be whoever and have on $100,000 watch or whatever, but you're not getting in if you don't like look cool, you know.
Right.
We don't smoke, brother.
Sorry, buddy.
Sure, you know, I think that there's a lot of similarities between fashion designers and musicians, especially like nowadays with the music industry, where it's so much less about having a record deal or working with a bigger label and like doing things independently. Fashion designers have been doing things independently for the longest time. You know, of course, you know, it's always more of a cushy work environment if you have your label purchased by a bigger conglomerate, and then you're working under a bigger production company or distribution deal where like you're just maybe designing and someone else is producing your clothes or something like that, which that's like a pretty cushy deal that some people are able to negotiate. But for the most part, there's a lot of young designers who are just making their own things and doing things independently and producing their own lines and selling them, and they're reaping 100% of the benefits of doing that, you know. With musicians, it used to be such a bigger deal to like, you know, get signed and get someone to start helping you distribute your music, whereas now like musicians don't need that, you know. It's very much still, it's more of an independent independent artist game, you know. And so a lot of stuff happens in fashion before it happens in any other type of art form, you know. I mean, even like it sometimes takes like 5-10 years before it starts to really ripple through with other industries, and it's cool. It's like it's always been that. Fashion designers have always been on the forefront of like creating things that are like, you know, the newest thing, more progressive thing, you know.
Sick.
My brother opened a club in Springfield, Missouri, and it's like mid-90s.
So
and,
sick.
You know, he was running the club and booking bands, and I was, of course, helping, and I was coming across. I was finding different acts that I thought would be great, and that, you know, as the industries go, you can sometimes catch people on the way up and then also on the way down. So, you know, there were people that were bigger name acts who were maybe their popularity was waning, and so you could get them to play a small club in Missouri. And then there were other people who were on their way up that were just starting out, like No Doubt played there for about 50 people, and one of my favorite things, there was a band used to go by the name of Kara's Flowers. They had this song called Soap Disco, and I thought it was super amazing song, and I was like, we gotta get these guys to come play here. And then they eventually came and played for, you know, packed club, but it's a small club in Missouri, you know, keep that in mind. So and then like after a couple months, Kara's Flowers split up, but they really just like had a name change, and then they came back, like all the same members came back as Maroon 5. And like, but they all performed there. There was a song like that I heard on a little like sampler CD that was put out for like just for like radio promo. And I heard this song and I was like, oh my god, we gotta get these guys to come perform. And the song was called I Want You Back, and it was NSYNC. And NSYNC came and they performed at this small club in Missouri. Like Justin Timberlake was probably like 15 or 16, doing backflips and beatboxing and like super talented. And
that's crazy.
It was pretty amazing. It was like to witness a lot of different artists who are on their way up, who just like, you know, a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes grind of like people performing at these smaller clubs as well as these bigger things. But you know, when I saw some of these people perform, I definitely thought like, wow, that's a superstar in the making, you know. So, but it's cool to. I feel like I've always had. I felt I've always had.
It's all good. I could cut it if you want to get it.
Yeah, no worries. I feel like I've always like had way to put it. I feel like I've been able to see like talent in any genre of music or any kind of thing. Like if I see something, I know it, and it was cool to be in that position where we were able to like book bands and experience that side of the music industry or whatever in order to just kind of have those stories and those memories as well.
What's the name of the club?
The club was called the Juke Joint.
Sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, my brother opened it with a friend of his, and then at the time, although I was living in Los Angeles, I went back to Missouri for a period of time and was a big fish in a small pond, and I got to do a lot of really amazing things for that club.
So sick.
It's also where I started DJing too and playing records, and then eventually also CDs too. But it was like that was another turning point in music, like when I went from playing vinyl records to then mixing CDs.
I feel like every designer that has a collection, or people that are producing collections, they're really good about picking their own songs. I just feel that comes like hand in hand. It's like when you have a collection that you come out with, you immediately know exactly like what song, like you're in charge of picking the song for that collection.
Well,
I always find that like that happens. I always see that.
Here's the thing, I mean, the designers who are really great at what they do, they're not just great clothes makers, they're like great taste makers, and they have great taste in everything from music to decor to food to whatever it is that exists in life. It's like they can like cherry pick all the best things in life, and they're going to present this experience or this like environment or whatever it is to like best showcase their designs and like what they're wanting to do. Is it dark? Is it moody? Is it like German? Is it like, dark techno, or is it like happy, vibey, like beach, kind of vibe? It's like there's so many different vibes, but everything can be done well or be done kind of naff or like
Damn, good
tacky,
reference, dude. Yeah.
So.